Ladies and gentlemen, thieves and crooks, hoodlums of all ages, I am the comic outlaw, coming to you live and loud from my ship flying through multiverse. And today we're going to be talking about the movie Fox should have done, since they have the rights to both properties. The Fantastic Four, wonderful team, the first family of Marvel. The Thing, Johnny Storm, the Invisible Girl, and of course, Reed Richards, the husband of the Invisible Woman, and the X-Men. Not just any X-Men, the X-Men from the 80s, when what Magneto was actually the leader of the group, believe it or not. This X-Men consisted of many different members, but after an event called the Mutant Massacre, there were sorely lacking members, and most of them have been disfigured or destroyed in one way or the other. And this is where it picks up in the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. Vision done by Claremont, of course. And what's going on here? Why is Reed Richards carrying his wife, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman? Is his son Franklin young, looking on? And I mean that because older he becomes, as he gets older, a cosmic being and blah, blah, blah. And apparently all the X-Men are dead too. Put on poles and left to hang like Drac the Impaler. And Shadowcat lies dead at Wolverine's feet as Mr. Fantastic goes up as his son tries to stop him. He opens this mysterious journal that causes Reed Richards to become something evil, something vile, something doom. And his little kid wakes up and goes to his dad, of course, who, quite frankly, doesn't seem like he gives a damn. Oh, honey, our cosmic being son is feeling bad. Can you please come and get him? Because I can't deal with that because I'm working on science. So Sue Storm sends an invisible thing to get him, and she starts looking through a crate of their old stuff. And of course, she comes across the diary. Not just any diary. And of course, we have to pan out to the X-Men, which is Rogue with a mohawk, and Havoc, if anyone doesn't know, that's Scott Summers' brother, fixing stuff. And they're going over what I was telling you about the Mutant Massacre. How most of them are laid up in a coma, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Shadowcat is permanently damaged by the incident and dying slowly by our own phasing power. We come to Longshot, of course, and the Dazzler, as Longshot uses his incredible luck power to save someone. And yes, he had it before Domino, so don't give me no shit. Back at the Fantastic Four Tower, Sue has read the diary and come to grips with the awful truth. The dark secret that Reed Richards has been hiding all this time. But Ben has decided to take a little quiet time in the library, as I would, because I love Ben Grimm. Ben Grimm's the man. When he comes across the sexy She-Hulk. Ooh, man. And they get into a little discussion about this and that, and boom! Building starts coming down. And of course, the man, Ben Grimm, and the sexy She-Hulk have to spring into action. And of course, them lower clothes get burnt down to the spare, sweet nothings. Until one of my favorite villains, Magneto, who at this time is a good guy, comes out and helps them. But of course, the Human Torch doesn't see Magneto as a hero at this point, because the Human Torch will play the racist in this one. He'll play the bigot. He'll play the mutie hater. Of course, Magneto comes, explains the situation. The sexy She-Hulk's in her trench coat. They decide to help, of course. Ooh, God, I love her in that uniform. Watch my other video on what I did about the other Fantastic Four members, and you'll see what I'm saying. And of course, Reed is plagued with doubts from reading this diary. And that's the one crux. This diary seems to break him. It seems to make him question his own integrity. And of course, Wolverine is having none of that shit. Because at this point, Wolverine sees Shadowcat like a daughter. And of course, negotiations break down. They accuse Magneto of being a crook. She-Hulk tries to break his hand. Torch starts spouting some racist stuff. Wolverine gives him what for. And then he goes after Reed Richards. And it continues in our next issue. And this is probably one of my favorite covers. Actually, out of all of them. Because Wolverine's just the man. And of course, it starts out with Wolverine in the nicest, most rage-filled way possible, trying to tell Reed that he needs to do what he needs to do. He's going to get his ass kicked. But Ben interrupts that with a sonic slam. Yes. And where the Torch is just like, oh no, they're all disgusting muties. I'll see to this, flame on! And ends up injuring Storm. And Rogue is not having any of this shit. In one of the most interesting moments, she kisses Ben Grimm. They have that connection because they both realize in their own ways they're monsters and alone. And I love that scene. And of course, Psylocke steps in, tries to break up the fight. And I love how Wolverine just kicks him. And Franklin wakes up upon having another one of his dreams. Like, there's a lot of fake outs in this one. I'm not going to lie to you folks. There's a lot of fake outs. And, of course, she's reading the diary. And she slams it against the thing. The diary is the crux of this whole episode. Like, she has visions, of course, tearing her husband apart, but I assume what wife hasn't of their husband. Dum-dum. And we go back to the situation at hand. Storm's arm is burnt. Rogue is turned into a amalgamation of Thing and her. And, of course, the civilian that Longshot so luckily saved ends up being a robot. But Doom shows up. Pimp Doom. Oh, man, I love this villain. And he just steps in to say that if Reed Richards doesn't have the balls to do what he needs to do, then Doom will gladly take care of the situation. And though Reed's like, no, you can't trust Doom. But they've really left him no choice because Reed Richards at this point is being an asshole. He will not treat her. And you see Rogue Thing there, and they still leave her enough clothes to, of course, cover her breasts. But why? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We go to the point where the Thing decides to interrogate Reed about the diary. And this is where Reed reveals that all the truth is in the diary. And the thing about the diary is that he claims that he made the Fantastic Four on purpose. That's the whole crux of it. While Wolverine is out taking out some frustrations because he didn't get to slice Reed Richards, it kind of goes into the story on how Reed was a scientist and he realized that all these threats to the world, that they would need some kind of heroes to counterbalance that. And so he sent them up in the spaceship knowing, and the X-Men are having their little meeting as Reed is having his little meeting, claiming that he may have created the Fantastic Four on purpose. And this is a slap in the face to Thing, who's cursed, because his powers don't turn on and off like Reed's do. And he's rightfully angry. I'm surprised he's not choking the shit out of Reed right now. I would be. But Thing's a better man than I. And now the X-Men are debating whether or not they should accept help from Doom. And Wolverine at this point is like, yes, save her. They have no other choice. And plus, if they betray Doom, if Doom betrays him, Wolverine will kill him. Plain and simple. I love this. This fascination with Storm. There's this other book series where different villains get the cosmic human. Doom actually marries her in an alternate reality. He appreciates her pleasantness. It's interesting how he kind of respects and sort of loves her. I love how Rogue's just taking a joyride, enjoying her new beautiful clothes. All of a sudden, a Doombot comes out of nowhere and shoots her. A couple of them, actually. And of course, she beats the ever-loving crap out of them, because that's what Rogue does. Oh, that and lose clothes, of course. Dazzler actually helps by taking out one with her smoking finger of sound. And there's Shadowcat, dying from an overuse of her powers during the mutant massacre. Her phasing powers having her phase away, her molecules are becoming unstable. And she decides to end it all to commit suicide because she doesn't want them owing Doom. It's not worth the price of her life, she thinks. And Franklin shows up in her psychic form, but it's Lockjaw is the one that roars and saves her, and Cyclops brings her back. And yes, this is a different Psylocke than you're used to. And I do find it interesting how Franklin's powers seem to manifest when he's asleep. And of course, Doom comes in, ready to lay the Doom hand down upon anyone. Of course, Reed is still having these issues with his will. Reed, one thing, he's a prick. He forgets about his family, but he's always had this will to create. And this is one of the sweetest scenes, I think, in the comics, where he goes and he sees his son. And it shows that Reed is so much more, and this is what I think separates him from Doom, is that Reed has that ability to let go. And of course, we got to go back to the X-Men, where Storm is fighting Longshot, the Master of Luck. And that's all he is. He's basically pre-Domino. And Ben Grimm goes to his favorite bar on Yancey Street, because that's where Ben Grimm's from. Yancey Street. Chugs a couple beers, a couple shots, burger, a couple more shots, burger, some more shots. Trying to cope with what happened to him. And as he realizes, is there a truck that explodes? And he goes in after the family, and he saves a little child, cradling the child in his rock hands so gently. And with what's left of his coat, he saves the child. And he gets a kiss from the woman, the mother. And I think Ben realizes why he is a curse, but it's a blessing in disguise. And Torch, who, at this point, this prick is screwing Ben Grimm's ex-girlfriend, Allison. Torch is just a dick all the way through. He goes there for a little loving and a little self-assurance that he's not a racist, even though he is. It's basically family stuff. And Doom begins work on the machine as Reed still has doubts. And Reed knows that there's a flaw with the machine. He knows. He knows, but he doesn't want to do anything that... Reed's confident issues, really damage the story. And here we're moving into the fourth and final part. And to tell you the truth, my least favorite issue because they're dissing Doom. There's Shadowcat. She's going in a whole little monologue about what's going on. She's giving you a little update. And you gotta love how even though in shadow form, her hair is still long enough to cover her breasts. And though out of nowhere, Franklin returns. And even though he's just a vision, the dragon can somehow lick him. And this is just reality manipulation. The boy doesn't even know that he has it yet. He goes to Shadowcat saying his daddy's going to help. His daddy's on the way. But she's dying. She's really dying. He's trying to do that elephant trick that Reed did earlier. And thus, the Fantastic Four are fondly on their way. And as Sue is cradling the child in her arms, that's what's happening now. What's happening now is happening now. And Ben Grimm has a little sweet moment with Susie. And of course the Human Torch is wondering what the hell, he burnt an innocent person, a black chick, And we go back to a little flashback here, a little revamp on what's going on in college, his college years. And it's filling Reed with doubts. This journal is literally filling him with so much doubts. Was I a monster before, or was I a good man? And here's a man that just doesn't seem to give a damn about either. Wolverine. Out there doing what he does. Training the new recruits. This man's had so many years. And I love the sexual tension between Havoc and Dazzler in this. It's kind of funny if you actually get to read it because she ends up banging Longshot. Of course, Rogue is doing her thing. Letting Longshot fall in the snow. She's getting pissed off in the situation. And there's Franklin still trying to do that funky elephant trick that Reed did for him, but he can't stretch his fingers. And there's Magneto. And this is one of the great stories of Magneto where he's talking about his wife and what happened before and what made him a villain. And he makes the Doombot into a perfect statue of her, and Doom interrupts. I'm trying to work. Damn it, your magnetic fields are interfering with my delicate work. Here comes the Fantastic Four. Magneto assumes they're enemies due to their last encounter. Tries to stop the ship. Things tend to spiral out of control as Doom again blames Magneto for the fact that he can't find... And that's the problem with Doom's ego. He seems like he can't find the answer. But then again, he sends the X-Men out to take care of the situation because he didn't want Reed to take credit. And the fight starts anew. This time, Rogue versus the Human Torch, and the Thing versus Wolverine. And I really didn't like this. All Thing had to do was give him a bonk on the head. That was very cartoony. I was like, But here comes the Human Torch, or is it? No, it's Rogue. And a badass thing, the badass move, the Invisible Woman grabs her and sends her in a tube, butt naked. And I love this part, how She-Hulk grabs Storm, tries to intimidate her because she may or may not have her powers, and then boom, the Storm appears. And Thing is having, Reed Richards is having a moment with Magneto, getting all wrapped up, where Franklin stops everything and says that she's dying and she needs everyone's help, meaning Shadowcat. And Doom is just watching the whole shit unfold. That's the sad part. Doom probably could have fixed the situation by now, but he spent so much time pandering. So much wasted time on his arch nemesis, trying to break his mind. And as Doom tries and tries and tries, Reed actually sees that he's wrong in some space, and then he throws it to Reed to figure out what the problem is. And he puts that pressure on Reed. This is where Doom actually plays the mind games with Reed. Can you do it? Are you good enough? Or are you going to fall? Are you going to fail like you failed your friends? The mind games that he plays are just so excellent, but Reed is Reed. Reed always comes out to it. Reed always has the willpower to press on and ends up saving Shadowcat's life. And at the reception party, of course, throwing at Doom's dime because, well, why not? They have a little party to, basically celebrate Doom and everyone. And this is where Sue discovers that Doom had wrote the journal all along and tried to destroy them. But they could never destroy the bonds that make family, or the bonds that exist between one team or another. And this is the comic Outlaw, of course, signing out. I will catch you on the flip side. Yeah!